Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventures. Just Dave here. Today I'm talking about Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore. This is going to be a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen the movie yet and you are concerned about spoilers, I would suggest you go ahead and watch the movie first before you watch this review. Fantastic Beasts, Secrets of Dumbledore is the third film in the Fantastic Beasts series. It follows the further adventures of Newt Scamander, Dumbledore, Albus Dumbledore, and Grindelwald, whatever his first name is. So, as far as what I liked about this movie, overall, I liked the cast a lot. I particularly thought that Dan Fogler was really good in this. He's an actor that I've been a fan of since I really first saw him, I think. He kind of seems to occupy the kind of role that maybe Josh Gad turns down or is unable to, but I actually think his performance in this was really good, really solid. I also liked Poppy Corby-Touche. Tooch, I don't know how to say it exactly. She didn't say much in it, but she was pretty, and I liked her, so for that. Cinematography in this movie is really good. It's directed by David Yates, who's a very accomplished director, a very competent director, and the movie, for the most part, looks well made. Overall, I liked most of the music in this. I thought it was, nice. It fit sort of the tone, and it wasn't too intrusive or anything. I really liked Newt's little friends. He's got a little stick guy that he keeps in his pocket. I don't know what his name is. And he's got sort of an echidna type creature. They were cute. They were cool. And I enjoyed when they were on the screen, and they actually did some stuff to help him out a bit. There is a character named a Chillin, I think, or something like that. It is sort of a little baby deer lizard kind of thing, dragon, something, I don't know. Kind of reminded me of a dik-dik, which is an African animal. But it was cute. It was a cute little animal. It was cool to see. I liked that. There's a scene where they do go to Hogwarts, and that was cool. It was cool to see him in Hogwarts and to see, Dumbledore as a young headmaster there. And then there's a sequence with these sort of crab-like animals that Newt and his brother have to kind of like walk like crabs, and then there's this scorpion octopus type creature that's attacking them. I liked that scene. I thought it was a fun scene that sort of showed Newt's abilities with animals and how they could be useful, and showed some suspense and some danger and stuff. So that was cool. As far as what I didn't like about the movie, I didn't love Eddie Redmayne's performance in this. I think I'm fairly sure I've seen the first movie in this series. I don't think I saw the second movie at all. He's doing a thing. I think he's doing a thing here with his mouth and his lips, the way that he's talking. I assume he's doing it intentionally for this character. I found it sort of off-putting and weird. The character is supposed to be kind of, I think, insecure and sort of eccentric and sort of an odd character. And I think they did that for a purpose. And generally, I like those kind of characters. I'm a big fan of like Adrian Monk from that TV show, or Hercule Poirot. A lot of these kind of slightly off-center type characters I generally like. But yeah, I didn't love him in this. I assume it's something he was doing in the previous movies as well. I don't remember. But in some ways, it sort of evoked his performance of Stephen Hawking in the Theory of Everything, which I don't think he was going for. Or maybe that's just the way he is. I honestly haven't seen him in much else. I think he was in that weird Jupiter Ascending movie where he did a weird voice there too. So maybe that's just a thing he does. I'm not sure. Ezra Miller is in this as well. I didn't particularly like his performance in this either. I really liked Ezra Miller when I first saw him in Perks of Being a Wallflower, and I was sort of excited to hear him finding more success with his career, but it seems like he always, to me at least, plays a similar character. There's something about the tone of his voice and the way that he speaks that just, I don't know. Basically, I just saw the kid from Perks of Being a Wallflower in this again. I'll talk about him a little bit more later. I think there's an issue of tone in this movie. Usually movies with sort of an uneven tone don't bother me because that's fairly realistic. Real life is not a comedy. It's not a drama. There are things that happen that are like that. But this movie just was kind of all over the place. There'd be one scene that was, shot and taken very seriously, and the music would be sort of serious. And then the next scene, you've got like these guys trying to accost a woman on a park bench, and the music like a weird, stupid kids movie. It's like they were two separate movies stuck together or something sometimes. Very weird. The movie's way too long. It's about 2 hours and 20 minutes or so. Yeah, it does not need to be that long. They could have cut half of this movie easily. And I don't think anyone would have missed anything. It is boring. I was legitimately just bored at times throughout this movie. Often my mind would just wander and start thinking about other things. I found myself frequently checking my clock to see what time it was, to see if I could get out of there. There's a lot of long silences in this movie. A lot of, like, there's a scene where Dumbledore, I think, first meets up with Ezra Miller's character, and his name is Credence, I think. And, they kind of see him, he sees him in the reflection, they do this, whatever thing with a water drop, and then he goes, Credence. And then they just sit there circling each other for probably only a minute or two, but it felt like 10 minutes of just them circling each other in silence. And then they finally do their fight, which is, I don't know, a little underwhelming for me personally. There is an odd, for a movie that's about a sort of political election, there's a lack of politics in the movie. It's about Dumbledore, about Grindelwald trying to become the new head of the Wizards Guild or whatever. I don't care. There's a very obvious parallel to, the modern current elections or recent elections we had in the United States with sort of a populist figure who was an obvious crook somehow being elected to the highest position. Very obvious parallels that they could have drawn there, and they really didn't. Now I can sort of understand why they didn't. And hey, the movie is, sort of a British movie, or at least it's made with a lot of British actors and British writers. So maybe they weren't too involved. But you know what? They've also got a leader with a similar kind of thing. So they really could have done some kind of Boris kind of allusions there. And as far as I can tell, they really didn't. There's some cruelty to animals in this movie. Now the animals are of course CGI creatures, but within the first couple minutes you see an adult Chillin, I think, die, and then Newt saves one of them, and then somehow Grindelwald gets the other one, and then he like kills it and like drowns it or whatever. I think he stabs it and drowns it. I don't know. It's one of those, it's a bit intense, especially I'm sure for kids. I heard some younger kids in the theater, and I don't know, they sounded pretty bored throughout this movie, and I don't blame them because I was also very bored throughout this movie. There's a thing, they're doing an election in this movie, and everyone knows Grindelwald is a terrible person who killed a bunch of people in the last movies, but somehow he's been absolved of these crimes. I don't know how. At first, I thought maybe that they had explained this in the second movie, but as far as I can tell, they really didn't very much. So that doesn't make any sense to me. But I'm willing to say maybe I just missed it, and so I don't want to fault the movie for that. But basically, they have this idea of this election. There's two people who are supposed to be running, and then Grindelwald gets involved in it. And then they decide that the Chillin, the animal, will choose who the next leader is. So is that something that always happens? How many of these Chillins are there? What do they do if there's not a Chillin? Why does the Chillin then supersede any other kind of normal style of election? Why was Grindelwald absolved? I have so many questions about this. Like I said, it might be because I missed the second movie, but I feel like in general, there's sort of an obligation on the filmmakers' parts to make it make sense for people who maybe didn't see all of the movies in the series. Maybe that's wrong for me to think that way, but a quick, easy line, in there could have very easily explained it. And as far as I can tell, it looks like they were just like, no, this dude's innocent or this dude's guilty. And then all of a sudden, the one guy who actually oddly looks kind of like Mads Mikkelsen is like, no, he's not. We've absolved him. He's innocent now. And everyone just agrees with it. And people seem to love the guy. So I'm assuming maybe something did happen in that second movie that makes people like him. It does to me very much feel like a filler movie. I believe there's supposed to be 5 movies in this series, and this to me seems like if you're watching like a show on Netflix and it's like an 8 or a 6 episode kind of series or whatever, this seems like, like the 3rd or 4th episode in the series where it's just kind of a filler episode and there's not much going on. They're kind of setting stuff up for later, but for the most part, there's not a lot of action. And this movie, not much really happens in it. I mean, I don't know. Other than that, so there's a character, so the 2 main people running for the head of the wizard thing or whatever, one of them is named Vincentia Santos, which basically just means holy winning over evil. So like Vincentia is like victory, like winning. Santos means like saint, like holy. This is the dumbest thing. J.K. Rowling always does this, and it's so stupid, and it irritates me. The only Harry Potter movie that I really remember is the Alfonso Cuarón one he did, and in that one, there's a professor who's a werewolf, and his name is Lupin. Yeah, the guy whose name means wolf is a wolf. This is one of the richest and most successful writers of all time. And this is the dumb stuff she comes up with. And somehow people are okay with this. Can we stop doing the thing where we name the main character hero protagonist or whatever? Like, I don't get it. I know in that book it was intentional, but I hate this idea of like, oh, the good guy is named, Johnny Good Guy, and the bad guy is named, you know, Marco Bad Guy or whatever. Like, just stop doing it. It's so stupid. It's annoying. All right, so in this movie, they replaced Johnny Depp with Mads Mikkelsen. Apparently because, you know, there's been a lot of controversy about him and his ex-wife and everything else going on there. I'm not going to weigh in on that because, I don't know, I'm honestly sick of talking about it. It sounds like it was just a toxic relationship on both sides there, as far as I can tell. But they decided to replace the guy, which is weird because in the first movie, Colin Farrell played the character. But then at the end of the movie, they kind of said, like, nah, it's not Colin Farrell, it's actually Johnny Depp. Why'd they do that? I don't know. Maybe Colin Farrell was busy. Maybe he didn't want to do it anymore. Or maybe they'd always planned to do that. I don't know. And in this movie, they replaced Johnny Depp with Mads Mikkelsen, but they don't explain it, and they don't explain why. I also think it's interesting that they decided to replace Johnny Depp because of the controversies, but they kept Ezra Miller, who obviously he's had a recent thing where he's gotten drunk and fought with people, but this is not the first time he's done that. He's done that a couple times. So clearly the kid has got some issues, some impulse issues, and it seems like he might be a little mentally unstable. So maybe you shouldn't be, you know, headlining any of your major franchises there, Warner Brothers. I don't know, something to think about. And also, like I said, I just wasn't super impressed with his performance. Again, maybe it's because the stuff I know about his personal life is kind of clouding that. But again, to me, he just seemed like the kid from Ferguson and Wallflower, which is a good movie. Part of the movie takes place in Germany in 1932. Which is an interesting choice. When I first saw it and I saw the banners, I sort of assumed they were like Nazis and there was Nazi stuff going on. There may have been Nazis in there that I missed, but yeah, Germany in 32, kind of a major point there. I believe Hitler was elected in January of 33. So, and the Nazi party was in full swing at this point. So it seems like something they maybe would have mentioned or acknowledged. And I think other people have talked about this, but like, if these wizards were around, and they clearly were, during the Holocaust, why didn't they do anything to stop the Holocaust? I mean, it was one of the worst things that have ever happened in modern history. And again, a movie about wizards trying to help, you know, Jews escape from concentration camps during World War II. I would watch the hell out of that movie. That sounds like a great movie. That sounds really interesting. A movie about, I don't know, Dumbledore's ex-boyfriend being a jerk. Less interesting to me. I'm sorry. Other than that, what else do we have here? Oh yeah, the last thing I really want to talk about here, I think, is the Rotten Tomatoes score. This is another movie where you know, I watched it, thought it was just terrible, and it seems like most critics are kind of on the same page, but the fans seem to like it. I think when I looked, it was around 40% for critics, low 40s for critics, and then like mid 80s, 85%, I think, for audience scores. So clearly the fans of this movie, or at least the ones who saw it opening weekend, seem to like it. And good for them. I don't mean to take anything away from them, but what do you like about it? I don't understand. This movie was not good. It really wasn't. There were some good things there. There was some stuff that was not terrible. But yeah, I feel like if you cut this movie in half, maybe it would be watchable. So my score on this one, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. I almost wanted to go lower because I really did not like this movie, but I feel like there's a disconnect between how much I personally enjoyed it and the actual level of craftsmanship that went into it. So I do think it's competently made in some ways, or at least the people who are doing it know what they're doing. And so, like, compared to, say, Morbius, which I think I gave a 3 out of 10, I think it is a better movie than Morbius. But I don't know if I actually enjoyed it more. I think I did. I think it's better made. It's more cohesive story. But yeah, that's where I'm at, 4 out of 10. So if you saw the movie, tell me what you thought of it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great night, and I will see you here again next week.